thank you for joining us today. You are listening to Pet EDU, and I'm your host, Mary Obadir. This is Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Hazel TARR was here last week talking to me about her pet sitting business. She owns Hazel's Pet Care in Sarasota, Florida. She also happens to be an animal communicator, and today I'm going to be asking her about that. The art of being able to communicate with animals fascinates me, and I look forward to talking to her about it. I did, because I was kind of a skeptic, I have to be honest. I asked Hazel before the interview to communicate with Chase because she can communicate to pets that have passed on, and we will talk about that later in the show. Welcome to the show, Hazel.
Thank you. I am looking forward to talking about animal communication with you.
Well, thanks for coming back a second time. And for those that may not have heard the first interview, share with us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I do pet sitting, dog walking, pet sitting, as far as also overnight pet sets. Also as far as daycare. I service as far as the Sarasota area from I-75 west and from the Sarasota Bradenton Airport to Clark Road. So that kind of keeps me busy, but then also I enjoy as far as doing the animal communication.
So tell me, what exactly is an animal communicator?
An animal communicator is one who, it's an intuitive language. It's the same difference as studying a foreign language. It's as far as intuition, and it's that sixth sense. You don't spend time as far as, doubting yourself. Basically, whatever flows to me, I know that that's what I need to share with my client as far as what their animal is letting me know that they want to share with their human, or vice versa.
Well, how did you discover that you first had this gift?
It's something that I realized from a very young age that I was connected with. When I was little, I was always in tune with the animals. And as I've gotten older, I realized, especially my other profession was pediatric nursing, and I did home care. And when I would go and visit the kids, their pets would be the ones that would always come and gravitate towards me. So and I would always be able to either calm them or share as far as with their humans, something they wanted their humans to know. And I realized I always had that ability, but it's only been within the last couple of years that I've decided that I needed to hone in on that and expand on that service.
Is there a way that you could get, like we can get educated to be pet sitters? Can you get an education on animal communication?
You certainly can. There are several different animal communicators who offer classes. I took several classes or workshops through Carol Burney, through the Gurney Institute, as well as other animal communicators here in Sarasota, Florida. Through the Gurney Institute, she's located in California, so it was long distance. And what it teaches you is that you don't have to be in the physical presence of the animal. As long as I've gotten to the point where now there are times I don't even need to have a picture of the animal, I'm able to pick up as far as intuitively what they want to share with their human. So a lot of it is believing that what you are getting, you're trusting the information that you're getting. You're not censoring it. And everyone has that ability. It's just that we tend to doubt ourselves.
And didn't you tell me that you always go by the first thing that flows in your mind now instead of trying to pick it?
Exactly. I've learned way in the beginning that I would think, oh, that is either too outlandish or that just didn't make sense to me. It doesn't, and what I realized, it doesn't have to make sense to me. I just need to share as far as what's being flown to me, because it will make sense to the human as far as with their animal, that dynamic that they have or had together. They're going to know exactly, what I'm talking about. Because there's, like I said, there have been times that, oh, that can't be, and I won't share. And then I realize the human will be telling me something later, and I'll go, okay, that is something that I should have shared with you sooner.
Well, I bet back when you were a pediatric nurse, the kids loved it when you shared with them what their pets were saying.
It's interesting with the kids. A lot of times I was so focused on themselves that we didn't spend a lot of time as far as with the animals. There would be some, little quips every once in a while, but it also, I picked up as far as what was going on as far as with the children themselves. So, and the animals, they are a good mirror as far as what is the dynamic that is currently going on in the household or with, a particular family member. So that's another resource to help us as far as addressing what concerns that people may be having.
As a pet sitter, I have seen that in homes where the owners are kind of nervous and their pets are kind of nervous too. So I could see how that could, happen.
Right. It is interesting because I've had people who will ask me, and then I have to explain to them that, it's really, they're mirroring what's going on with you. So, but it's easier for a third person to come in and see that dynamic versus if you are the one that's right there dealing with it. It's hard to step back and really see. So I understand why a lot of times, their pet parents just don't pick up that it could be them instead of the animal.
Mm-hmm. I would have never thought of that until I recently had come into that. I had talked to another animal communicator, and she said the same thing. So do you communicate with all species of animals?
Yes, I've communicated with as far as dogs, cats, horses. I had as far as wildlife. When I go out, as far as if I go boating with friends, as far as with the dolphins, where I live right now, as far as in the condo complex, we have a pond and there are turtles. A lot of times it's interesting, even as far as the squirrels, they're just right there, or they'll show up and come close. So it's an interesting dynamic. Even the birds, it is truly enjoyable to be able to communicate. It's just that we're so busy that we need to be able to take the time to slow down, to listen to them and what they want to share with us.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you able to pick up on what a squirrel or a turtle wants to share? Have you been able to pick that up?
Yes, I have. So I've had ones that they've told me, either what they've not been happy with as far as with the landscapers where I live, or as far as some of them are just sharing as far as how their day has been going. Others, their concerns as far as the dynamic where I live, there are a lot of snowbirds that come back. And so, that energy changes and it can be a little unsettling at first. So they share with me as far as, they're trying to get back to where everything is more calm.
Mm. This makes me think, have you ever has a raccoon, where I lived before, the raccoons drove me crazy. Have you ever had a raccoon try to communicate with you?
No, I have not had that yet.
I was wondering what they would want to say. I know what I would like to say.
I can understand.
But do you have to, and I think you talked about this, you don't have to communicate with an animal in person. There's pictures, and are there any other sources that you use?
That's correct. I don't have to be physically present with the animal. As far as a photograph, I always, as far as long distance, appreciate, because then as far, especially seeing their eyes, because then that, as they say, it's the window to the soul. And I really pick up the information from them. But as I said, lately, I've even picked up when I'm talking to people and they start to tell me about their pet, it just, things start to flow to me in regards to what their pet wants to share. So, it's nice. Sorry, it's nice to have that dynamic of, you don't have to be tied to having, a set criteria to be able to communicate with them.
Right. That's why how you were able to communicate with Chase. You can communicate with pets that have moved on.
Correct.
I know you had asked for a picture so you could look in his eyes.
Right. Most definitely.
So go ahead.
I'm sorry. I do feel that it allows you to get a better intimate connection as far as with the animal. It doesn't mean that I still can't communicate with one if they don't have a picture. I have done that, but it tends to get, as far as a flow of your information, a little bit faster at times.
That makes sense. So there's something about the different areas of animal communication. What does that mean?
Well, the different areas, I have several people who have rescued pets, and so they want to know as far as what type of environment they came from. So, or then a lot of them have, because of rescues, may have some behavioral issues. So that's an area. Also, as far as for the lost pets, working with those animals, that what's happened to them, are they still, in alive, as far, or have they transitioned? There are the ones that mirrors, like we mentioned earlier, if something is going on with the human and we find out that, it actually is the human, it's not the animal that was having as far as this ache or pain, it was actually the human, and they're sharing that and showing me what's going on. There's also, as far as the ones that are with the death and dying, I've dealt with several of those. When I've had clients who have called me and want to know if it's time to help their pet transition. And then again, as far as the ones who have transitioned. So there's all those, that's what I refer to when I talk about the different areas with animal communication.
Well, let me talk about the mirror part again. Do you believe that pets will act out by doing things they shouldn't be doing to try to tell their pet parent that pet parent has something wrong in their life and they need to fix it?
Oh, definitely, most definitely. And I know that from personal experience, and I'm sitting and I shouldn't be eating that bag of potato chips, and something happens with my animal and it makes me stop.